to the AI People, where we share inspiring stories of thinkers and builders who are humanizing AI. Today I'm with Sawyer, who's gonna introduce himself, and then we are gonna have an interesting conversation.
Awesome, thank you very much. Hi everyone, my name is Sawyer. I am an AI developer advocate at Red Hat. I am working primarily on vLLM and LLMD, so a lot of cool stuff in the open source world to come. Happy to chat with you guys today, so let's get this started.
Okay. Thank you, Sawyer. You said a lot of terms. You may have to decode that for us, but before going there, maybe talk more about developer advocacy. Why is it really important for large companies to engage the developer community? And what do developer communities bring back to some of these organizations?
Sure, absolutely. So as a developer advocate, I basically talk to people like myself, developers, and try and get their opinions about AI in general, maybe open source software, and I try and create a buzz around that kind of stuff. And I really just want to connect with the people around me who are really just similar to me. And I think that's really a key thing. And one thing I really like about Red Hat is that we just want to connect with the community, because realistically, we're just a bunch of nerds and everything like that. So it's just really awesome. So as an AI developer advocate, primarily my tasks are creating demos, creating blogs, videos, going to conferences, doing workshops, kind of creating a buzz around the future of open source AI as a whole.
That's great to hear. And DeveloperWeek is definitely the best place to be in to get a pulse of what the developer community is looking for, both enterprise developers as well as consumer developers, developers working on open source projects, and also some of the students who want to get your thoughts on how they can position themselves for career opportunities as well. So what is the overall pulse? Thematically, what are some of the conversations, what is top of mind of the developer community, if you can lay it out?
Sure, yeah. So one big thing that I've been hearing a lot about is agentic. Everyone's talking about agentic AI applications. I think a lot of people are really also trying to optimize workflows. That's one thing I've noticed. A lot of people here, a lot of booths, everyone's trying to create the ideal workflow for a working environment. So super interesting, really nice to hear about, and I think it's going to make all of our lives easier, so I have no complaints there. Students have a lot of questions, just kind of asking about the general pulse of AI, where are things moving, what's the next step, and it's hard to say, but there's a lot of things that are kind of on the bleeding edge that I think we could discuss maybe today. That would be really interesting.
That's awesome. And for the general audience who is new to agentic AI, in simpler terms, how would you explain agentic AI?
Sure, yeah. So agentic AI is, I would suppose I would call it, it's more so interfacing with models and allowing them to aid with certain tasks, or maybe in certain processes that would, I guess, maybe originally be a little bit more difficult for you, or maybe just a general purpose AI. So, for example, you could have an AI agent that would help you create calendar announcements, that kind of thing. Or maybe an agentic AI application that would maybe read your emails, that kind of thing. So I think agentic AI is kind of in turn with assistance and advancements in that field.
Yeah, it's great to hear. And when it comes to agentic AI, right now, Cloud
Yes.
is top of mind of people, like open source, and you can quickly create all the agents that you want orchestrated,
Yeah.
and then to be able to execute workflows, right? So can you talk about that initiative, and how do you see that? Do you think that's the only way to go about it, or do you see it as an alternative stuff?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's multifaceted to a degree that we can't even comprehend just yet. Though I will say the Claude stuff is pretty crazy. It's in a way very, very intriguing, because the whole project was created by AI and it's fully open source, so you can see it on GitHub. That being said, there are probably some security concerns that I would probably recommend looking into before you do anything like that. But I think the key theme here that is really important is the fact that these AI assistants or these homebrew grassroots creations that people are making and putting online are able to just come from nothing now. And if you have an idea, you can do it, which is awesome because here at Red Hat, we advocate for open source every day of the week. And I think that it's going to be something that is going to be way more accessible to the public now that people can just make whatever they want.
That's great to hear, Sawyer. And there is a clear delineation between open source and closed source. Some players are clearly in the open source side of the fence. Few players on the other side. What are the trade-offs? For someone who is figuring out where they want to invest their time, money, and they are looking for a framework, what are the trade-offs between open source, closed source? Can you maybe give a very high level on that?
Sure, yeah. So the really nice thing about open source, and I guess from my frame of reference, I've been a developer for a few years before becoming a developer advocate. One thing that's so nice about open source is just the transparency. The fact that you can go into the code and you can take ideas if you want, or you can take inspiration, or you can contribute. Maybe there's a bug that you'd like to fix, you could have that be fixed. You could fix it yourself. And I guess as someone who's picking between open source and closed source in what to adopt in your everyday life, or maybe invest time or money, I would say open source is the way to go. I mean, not only do you have 10,000 people working towards propagating a better product, but you also have people from all over the world invested in these communities, people who are users, people who know what the software needs to make it more usable and enjoyable, and those people are the ones that are forcing this baton forward. So if I had to pick between open and closed source, I would 100% recommend open source. Of course, there are applications for closed source, and I mean, people can make arguments either way, but if I had to pick, I would say open source is the way.
That's great to hear. And for someone who is new to open source AI, what will be the first few steps that you suggest that they take?
Sure, yeah. So I think a great first step for open source AI would probably be trying to spin up your own local language model. You can do so with products like Ollama. You could use vLLM, and these are just basically inference engines that allow you to host any language model that you want. And when I say host a language model, I'm referring to, in the same way that you have GPT or a Claude model on websites such as Hugging Face. They have all sorts of open source models that you can just download right onto your computer. And then there are very simple ways where you can go straight from the model and post it right on Ollama or vLLM and immediately begin inferencing and interfacing with the models just right off the bat.
And clearly, right now we are at an inflection point, at least the software industry. It's
Yes.
not anymore software as a service, but service as a software with agents, delivering outcomes. A lot of businesses are also transforming their business model. Like for every outcome delivered, they have this blueprint, infrastructure. Fundamentally, from open source all the way up to building enterprise-grade platforms, and then you have an agentic solution that you can then monetize. Things are changing rapidly. So I wanted to get your thoughts, since you are very much plugged into open source AI ecosystem. Where do you see this evolving in the next one year? Let's say 1 year, because we cannot even speak about more than 2 years. Things are evolving rapidly, and a lot of people are also concerned. So from your lens, how do you see things shaking out in the next 1 year?
Sure. So this might just be my personal opinion, but I would say that the term software engineer is going to change in a drastic way. I think we're going to turn from being software engineers or developers and more towards model orchestrators. I think the people who are able to interface with multiple different instances of Claude code or call different models in whatever way they need to do to help complete a task, those are the people that are going to be the most valuable in this industry in the near future. I think everybody in the near future is probably going to have some sort of dashboard where they can manage all of their open coding, CLI, interfacing, software, whatever they need to do. I think those are the people that are going to be kind of in the central hub of this new movement. So if I had to sum it up, I would say in 1 year, we're going to see people moving from a pure software development to all of us kind of turning into project managers in our own way, but in a good way, I think I would say.
That's great. A lot of tasks can be automated. We have all these agents, but the real agency rests with us humans. Like you said, project management comes with responsibilities, ownership. That was still stays with the humans, but the agents can, get things done. So that was very nice.
Thank you.
So it was great having this conversation with you, Sawyer.